Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Red Wings news and rumors video here at the Hockey Writers. I'm your host, Matthew Zator, and as always, joined in by Jordan Orth, of course, covers the Red Wings here. Jordan, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Doing good. We're a couple games into the season now for the Red Wings. Win and a loss, which, it seems like two different types of games in the first couple. But their last game was really good. Against the Maple Leafs, kind of started making the Maple Leafs maybe question their game a bit, which is always a good thing. So we'll start. I want to start, though, with the young guys. We talked about them in the opening night roster. All of them made the lineup. And all three Sandin-Pellikka has played quite a bit already. He's over, I believe the first game was over 20 minutes, about 22 minutes. Next game was a bit less, I think around 18. So what do you think about the three guys going? I mean, they're all slotted where we kind of said at the beginning, the first couple. What do you think about their performances so far?
Yeah, like you said, I think Sandin-Pellikka, he's becoming more just from game one to game two. He's basically taken what he's done in the preseason, building that confidence defensively, and he's taken it to the next level. He's looking more comfortable from game one to game two. He hasn't obviously factored in scoring wise yet, but he's getting the chances. He doesn't look out of place whatsoever. He's second power play unit with Nygard. I mean, they look good. He definitely is not let down on the expectations so far. Obviously 2 games in, but so far so good from him.
Yeah, that's the one thing about, Sandin-Pellikka, we always said how good he is offensively and how well he can move the puck. And it seems like he's being trusted, playing over 20 minutes, averaging around that, which is top 4 minutes, that's probably where you're saying his potential is probably going to be. You'd think maybe a top pairing at some point, top power play unit, all that fun stuff. So it's looking good so far for him. I could say a couple games. It's a very small sample size, but looking pretty good. What do you think about Brandsegg-Nygård's game so far? He's starting on that, I believe it was the second line, right? Or third line?
Third line with Comfer and Kopp. And honestly, that line, even though they haven't done a whole lot production-wise outside of the empty netter last night, but, that line, it looks really good. And he fits right into that role. He has no problem throwing his weight around when he has to. I'd like to see him shoot the puck a tad bit more because he's got a rocket on him.
Yeah.
Use it. It's almost like I don't want to say afraid to do it or doesn't have the confidence to, but if he can start letting the shot go, I think he's going to have quite a bit more success. Again, 2 games in, but again, another one that hasn't looked out of place. And on that third line, that third line could be an X factor if that's where he sticks for the year.
Yeah, and then finally, Emmitt Finnie. Starting on that top line, his minutes aren't reflecting top line minutes. He's 13 minutes in the last game, 12, a little over 12 minutes in the second game. I had an assist against the Maple Leafs, so he's got his first NHL point, which is awesome. How do you think he's looked so far?
With the ice time he's got, I think he's looked good. He hasn't stuck out in a massive way like Nygard or Sandin-Pellikka, but you put him out there with if he sticks with Larkin and Raymond, he's gonna be the guy that he goes to the dirty areas, and that's how he got his assist. He went to the dirty area, did what he had to make a play, and I think that's what he's gonna do. I don't think he's gonna be a guy who's gonna give you that 20, 25 goals or anything. Not necessarily. He has the potential to, but right now I think he's gonna be that kind of energy guy who forces the turnovers on the forecheck. And like I say, he's done well with the ice time he's gotten. Seeing him do a little bit more in the offensive zone overall would be a nice little surprise. But I think for, again, what he's gotten, he's done well for himself so far.
100%. And I think, they say the minutes, not a high amount of minutes, but he's looked good. And that's where, he's not out of place, which is awesome. We'll see if all three can stick throughout the whole season. I'm thinking Sandin-Pellikka probably will. Finnie might not. Some of these guys kind of, they have the good preseason training camp, make the team, and then, eventually get sent down. And that could also happen with Brandsegg-Nygård. I don't feel like Sandin-Pellikka is going to be one of those. I think he will end up staying with the team the whole time, right? So.
Yeah, I think the only reason Nygard would end up getting sent down if the production and time on the ice doesn't match where they want it to be. But again, that third line, they're bringing some energy to the ice. So I think if that continues, he'll end up sticking for the long run. And Finnie, yeah, he might get sent back down, but I mean, it really all depends on what you can get from guys like a Van Riemsdyk, a Rasmussen, other guys that are at that bottom half of the lineup. That okay, can we shift somebody else into that spot and move somebody else down, or finagle things around to make it make sense to send the kid back, whether it's Kamloops or you'd have to go to Kamloops because he's 19, right. So send him back there. I mean, he had a good year down there. Do you want to send him somewhere where I don't want to say he's not going to further his development and be challenged, but it's kind of like a Michael Mista situation where he puts up 140 points. Granted, nobody's touching that number, but San Jose doesn't want to send him back to Saginaw to play in the OHL. And I mean, it's almost like he's too good for the OHL. And you don't want to send Finnie back. And okay, well, yeah, he puts up 90 points or whatever he puts up. And it's like, okay, well, yeah, he's playing against 19 to 21-year-olds or 17 to 21-year-olds. I don't see why he wouldn't get a long-term look. Granted, if you don't want to go past that 9-game mark if you don't necessarily have to, but I think if he can show this next week against some top-level talent again, if he can show he can stick with them and play with them, I don't see why he wouldn't stick around.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I mean, too bad they didn't have that rule with the 18, 19-year-olds can go to the AHL, at least one.
Right.
Which is going to be that case next season where they're allowing that, which I think is a great addition to the rules because sometimes, like you say, where a guy is too good for junior, but maybe not good enough for the NHL yet, probably be good to get that extra challenge in the AHL.
Yeah, I mean, you can look back at Seattle with Shane Wright. I mean, they were kind of in that position with him, and you don't want to send him back to play juniors because, yeah, you dropped him in the draft, but the kid was at tweener. He was ready for the NHL, but was too good. And he kind of, I think almost, I don't want to say hampered his development, but it kind of, I guess, shot the confidence for a little bit. And he started to finally get it back on track. And the 19-year-old rule, I think next year is going to be, granted, it's only one player, but it's going to help a lot of organizations with that development of those kids that will be at that level. So. Mm-hmm.
I think that they'll make the decision for like those high-end type prospects.
Yeah.
I'm just going to put a guy in there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that's probably why they added that rule, give one guy, and they might even increase it to two. I mean, eventually to see how it kind of goes next season.
Yep.
But of course that would have to change in the next CBA, which is a little down the road. So we'll see how that all goes. All right, well, let's talk about those first two games. Kind of a tale of two games, two stories, really. First game, blitzed by the Montreal Canadiens 5-1. One thing I want to ask you, though, is the first game with John Gibson. His first game did not go very well.
No.
Gets pulled. Cam Talbot plays the next game, of course, wins it, but still, I mean, there were still 3 goals he allowed. Is the goaltending a concern? I know it's very early, but you know how people kind of overreact right away. Are you concerned with how John Gibson started his first game?
Yes and no. Yes, because he wasn't great in the preseason game he played in either. But no at the same time, because you look at least a couple of the goals that they got scored on when he was in net, they were same problem as last year, defensive breakdowns, set him in a bad spot. But it very well could end up becoming a concern again this year if they can't right the ship. But the second game, Talbot did look strong. He didn't get challenged nearly as much. For the most part, the Wings controlled the pace of that game. But I think the biggest concern is going to be the defense. I think they kind of go hand in hand because your defense isn't helping you out. Your goalie is going to be out in no man's land on an island, kind of having to fend for themselves. If they can shore up the defense, which again looked a lot better against Toronto, then it should solve the goaltending concern, if that's what you want to call it.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's hoping that John Gibson is the answer, being the the big starter. I mean, it's, like I say, very early first game. He'll probably get the start against the Maple Leafs, as we're maybe
Talbot's getting the start actually.
All right, so Talbot is getting the start, which is kind of an interesting development there. And they do play a very early game this morning, I guess, when we're or this afternoon, when we're recording here. I'm stuck in Pacific time. So, I mean, we're morning when that is, but afternoon. So, I mean, yeah, we'll see how Talbot does. And then when Gibson gets another start, we'll see when that happens. Maybe it'll be, I don't know. We'll see when he gets a chance.
Day by day basis at this point.
Yeah. We'll see. I think, like we talked about the goaltending, I mean, it might become a 1A, 1B type thing. But you're hoping that Gibson becomes that guy that takes over most of the starts, but we'll see how it all goes. All right. Well, takeaways from the rest of the first two games. Do you have any other things that you're kind of looking at for what you've seen over the first couple?
The second line of Kasper, Kane, and DeBrincat is definitely they're the highlight so far. Obviously, Raymond had 2 goals against Toronto, but I think that the chemistry that those 3 on that second line have built from last year into this year really showing through. I mean, DeBrincat's had, it feels like a million chances the first 2 games and just seems to be snake bitten and can't finish yet. But the chemistry just between him and Kane from the years in Chicago and then the last couple in Detroit, it just continues to go to another level. And Kasper, he's kind of like Finnie. He does the dirty work and he does what he needs to help out, and it all works well together. But they have looked good. I mean, you look at your so-called stars are playing like stars. You got Raymond, who again the 2 goals against Toronto has been good. Like I've mentioned, the defense is definitely an area where you're going to have to either figure, because your top 2 pairings are good. Edvinsson and Sandin-Pellikka have looked really good together. The third pairing, you're going to have to figure out, okay, is it going to be Johansson and Bernard Docker, or is it going to be Hamonic? Hamonic kind of had a rough first game, but I think that second game, I think if I'm right, I think Johansson was like +3 or +4 against Toronto. So, I mean, if you just got to figure out who works well with him and whatever else. But again, that defense is an area where a lot of people thought maybe Yzerman would go out and make a move. The biggest one, obviously, was Keandre Miller to Carolina, but it might be an area where come deadline, maybe you look to get somebody that's available. But that's the biggest thing for me is getting that straightened out. Because your offense has no problem doing what they need to for the most part.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, it's been that way. I'd say it's probably been that way the last couple seasons. Yeah. Offense is fine. It's the defense. Like, you can't be hoping to win games, allowing 3 goals.
Yeah, you can't get into shootouts with teams all year long.
Yeah, and that, I mean, it can maybe sustainable sometimes, but you got to end up stopping a lot of that before you're not hoping that you're going to be scoring a ton of goals every game.
Right.
The goaltending's got to be better. The defense got to be better. And like you say, it goes hand in hand. You have one is good. The other's probably good as well. I guess the goaltending could be really good. Your defense is really
good. Yeah. You got a goalie that can bail his defense out. You're in pretty good shape, but that's going to run out too. So
yeah, that's also not sustainable too. So for sure. All right, I want to finish with just talking about the Grand Rapids Griffins. They've started the season 2-0, which is great. Got Carter Mazur 3 goals already to start the season in the 2 games. Amadeus Lombardi, we talked about him as well. Got 3 assists. I don't know if have you watched any of those Grand Rapids Griffins games? Or
I haven't watched the games themselves. I've been following them though. I think that the 2 that you mentioned, they obviously Mazur making his debut last year. I think if injuries happen, say guys like Van Riemsdyk or Berggren don't work out, or you got to shuffle something around, you look at those 2. I mean, Lombardi's been a fan favorite since he's gotten drafted, whether it's from local fans being able to watch him in Flint when he was playing juniors or just the way he plays. I mean, they need some energy in the bottom half of the lineup at some point this year. He could be that. And Mazur, if he keeps producing. I mean, granted, again, very small sample size, but he's another one that you could look at and say, okay, maybe we give him another shot and see what he can do in a bottom 6 role if you need it.
Mm-hmm.
But they had a strong year last year. I think if Kosa can find that consistency 100%, I think that they're gonna start taking looks at some of these younger kids even more next year if they have to.
Yeah, so strong start for the Griffins to start. Kosa got one of the starts, allowed 3 goals, and Michael Postova was the other goaltender that got the other one. So they split. Of course, that usually happens in the AHL. They split because it's usually a back-to-back. So, I mean, yeah, it's so great start for them. And the Red Wings are, of course, 1-1 to start the season. So we'll see how the rest of the week goes. They do play the Maple Leafs later today as you're watching this, or you might be watching this after the game. But we'll see how the Red Wings do against their next game against the Maple Leafs here. And we'll check in and see how everything's going next week. But thanks, Jordan, for coming on as always. And you should check out everything at hockeybears.com. We've got, of course, all the articles, recaps, all that fun stuff throughout the week. But until our next News and Rumors, we will see you next time.